And you have 3 groups now?
Not really. It's the same. I just close it and reopen it. So I
The pop-up, like a pop-up group.
Yeah, pop-up group. And I empty it out after every challenge. So so we start from scratch each time.
Great. Okay, let me just make sure we're on, and let me go back, get clients. Yep, we're live. All right, everyone. Hi, everyone. Here we are. It's Dallas. Let me turn down the voice. Okay. So I am here. Let me just do this so everyone can see us. I am here, we're in day 6 of the challenge. We actually finished the challenge. We had a bonus session yesterday about optimizing your personal page. And today I promised to bring on Heather here, who is a former client of mine. Actually, it was 2 years ago. Right now, 2 years ago.
2020, it really was. Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
And, hi, Shelley, you're joining us. And I just want, she is just booming right now. I still connect with my clients. I still see what they're up to. And Heather is out there. She's doing challenges. She's doing workshops. She has an incredible reputation in her space. She's getting eyeballs on herself. She's finally, she has the business that she dreamed of. But I wanted to backstep where she was 2 years ago, before, when she was like on the edge. I remember that phone call we had of should she or not jump into my program at the time. I think you were in another program, weren't you?
I was, yes.
So you weren't getting what you needed in the other program. You saw something of interest. And I believe at that time, 5 of you jumped into the program all at once in the summer.
Yeah.
And so tell us about where you were at that point and what were you looking for?
Right. It's so good to remember. Be here. I remember. Yeah, right. It's 2 years ago. It's so good to be here. I was looking for structure. I'm one of those people that I like to buy all the things, right? Because all the ads sound really good. It sounds like that's what you really need. And I don't even remember how I ended up in your Facebook group, and I saw that you were running a challenge. And so I said, let me check this thing out. And so oh no, you know what? I joined the group and you inboxed me. That's exactly what happened. You inboxed me and let me know that you had a challenge coming up. And I was like, okay, I'll try and make it. But I was very impressed that you inboxed me, because usually you join Facebook groups and no one knows, none of the leaders message you. So you DM'd me and I was like, okay. And then the day before the challenge, you DM'd me again, like a reminder, right? And I was like, okay, so I guess I better, show up, right? So I showed up, and day 1, my mind was blown, because you laid everything out so clearly. And I just felt like you were so transparent, and it was like, okay, you weren't holding anything back. You gave a full hour. You weren't trying to pitch anybody anything. You were just teaching. And I was like, okay. But I had also seen all of that before, because I'd bought so many programs and I'd bought, all the things, but no one laid it all together. No one tied it together and said, okay, you do this thing and ultimately this is where you end up. And so I was very impressed with that. And I realized by the end of the week that, what you see is what you get. Like, you are who you represent, that you're going to be. And then I noticed that what you were teaching us, you were also doing. Right, you were doing the same thing, and I was like, she's walking the walk. And even on your Facebook page, you walk the walk. You make the post. You have the post where you're just asking a question. You have the post where you're teaching. And I'm like, okay, so she's really walking the walk. And everything was really simple, and it was very clear. And I said, this is exactly what I needed, because I'd never had someone to tie all the pieces together. Yeah. And I love that. And you were very patient. And very clear teacher. And I was like, I got to do it,
Yeah, you jumped right in. Yeah. It's interesting. That is probably the number one thing I hear from people, is that they have bits, and me too. You get bits and pieces from courses, but you don't know how it works together. Right. But once you see how it works together,
Yeah.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's not innate in the beginning. It's not innate. You kind of have to be told what comes first
Yeah.
before you promote your program. You have to do all this stuff
All these,
before.
right, right. Yeah. And then a lot of people online, they sell you. I remember telling you that I bought so many marketing programs. By this time, I was 2 years in business, and I remember buying programs for thousands of dollars, but the programs were not a good fit for me because they're for people who had established businesses, established systems, and established incomes. But the coaches did not care. They didn't take the time to find out what my level of business was. They just sold me their, $4,000 or $5,000 program, with the promise that I was going to be making all this money, and I was not ever going to make all that money because my systems were not in place. And so you took the time to say, hey, listen, yes, you can make all this money, you can have the business that you want, but you have to get your systems in place. And because of my personality, I like to run ahead. And you always, throughout our program, you would say, okay, well, yeah, you can get there, but we need to do this first, right? And I really appreciate that. You always were, able to rein us in, and say, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, let's focus on this thing for the next 7 days, and then we can move on to the next thing. Because, we all have our different personalities, right? And but you were honest enough to say, yes, you can get there, but you have to get your foundation right. And that was very attractive because I need that, foundation.
I also remember I was going back to, I saved people's verbatim, what they say, what scared them or what they were afraid of. And one thing I even have it as a slide in one of my presentations of
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that, you were afraid to open a group because you were afraid you were going to spam people.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because in your industry online on Facebook, the Facebook groups are all about spam, right? There's
Yeah.
no teaching, there's no education, there's none of that. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. There's a lot of, self promotion, and a lot of, just buy my product. And I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to, and the other thing I was afraid of with the group was I didn't want it to be a negative space, right? So in my industry, there's a lot of, commiseration and woe is me, and, I'm so sick and whatever. And I'm not that person, yes, I have my days, but I don't want to stay there, and I was afraid of that. And I remember you saying to me, it's your group, you set the tone of the group. And you also taught us the importance of, you attract those kinds of people when you name the group. So it's important that when you're naming the group, you use adjectives to describe your ideal client, not their current situation, but who you want them, who they're coming to be. So I remember that. So it was not about focusing on the negative, but focus on who do I want to attract, and how do I want to serve them. And so now I don't, in fact, I was sharing that I don't run my challenges inside of my group. I run my challenges in a pop-up group, but it's my main Facebook group that I learned how to build with your program. I funnel people first into there. And as we go on, I do my, I offer content every day, and I come on live and I say, hey, by the way, on this date, I'm having a challenge. If you want to lose weight, this is what, and that's where most of them come from. They, when they first join the group, I ask for their email addresses, and the people who don't join my mailing list, it's the funniest thing. They opt into the challenge, and I get their mailing. Yeah, I get their email addresses anyway. So and I funnel them into this, into this space. So it's just, I don't have to worry about spam. I just remember that they're there because of me. They're there because they want to see me. They're there because I have something to offer. And it's my responsibility to deliver on the promise that I made when they came into the group to, help them get their health to a better space. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was extraordinary. And you were someone that were actually, because you were so niched, and this is the benefit of being very niche in your area. So Heather is in health, and she was very niche. And we can say, you can certainly, I want you to share what you do in case there are people that want your service,
Right.
who are listening to this. But you were able to fill that group. So we first build your personal page. Do you remember that? You
Yes,
went
I
out
did.
and invited people to your personal page, and we used
Yes.
the personal page, and you put tons of content on that. And
Yeah.
then about 3 months, 2.5 months later, you had enough thousands of people on that personal page. You opened your group, and your group grew to 500 people in like 50 days.
2 months. Yeah, it was really quick. It was
It was
really quick.
fast.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
fast.
yeah. And now it's up to about 800, and only because, like I said, I'm building other groups, and because I know I'm purposeful about now I know how to get people in the group. So when I have a challenge coming in, I know how to get out there and get a quick 100, 200 people into the group, or get them into my other group where my challenge is happening. So now most of the people are not even going to my Facebook group first. They're first going into my challenge group, which ultimately is where I want them on my mailing list anyway. So now, because of the system that you've taught, I run challenges, and that's my only lead magnet. And I'm up to about 600 people on my mailing list just from running the challenges, and just from, following the system of having a proper Facebook page, an optimized Facebook page, leading people into my Facebook group, or leading them to my challenge, right? Depending on, which one is happening at the time, and getting them getting them into my world. So it's really, I don't know. I had bought a bajillion programs that taught me how to run challenges, but none of them showed me the steps before, right? None of them taught me all of those things. And I know now how to, I started, I think I had 700 Facebook friends. Now I'm close to 3,000. And they're almost, and all the people from where they were at 700 to now, they're only people who are in my target market. Like, I don't befriend people willy-nilly anymore. I don't accept invitations anymore unless
Yeah, you had a
it's a
lot of cleanup
mutual,
to do, right? You had
yeah,
to get
unless
rid of
it's a
the
mutual
people that were
relationship.
like, who are these people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, okay, just because we have people in common, okay, what are you? So, I learned from you how to vet the people that I befriend, and how to, add value to their lives just as much as, I want them to add value to mine. So I learned all of those things. So now I'm very judicious about that. And I've taught my VA what to look for when she's accepting people into the Facebook groups, and all of those things. So it's having a system, it just makes everything easier, because now not only can I do it, but I can teach someone else, like my VA or my son. I keep trying to get my son to help me, he's not working, but I can teach someone else how to run the same thing. So we were able to go on vacation for 2 months, 2 weeks out of this month, and I didn't have to worry, because my VA knows what to do. My clients were still being served,
Right.
and I don't have to, like, be there. So that's the power of having a system in place, a structure
Right.
in place.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's several systems, right? There's several things
Right.
that are working. It's not like one big, yeah, it all works under the processes all tied together, but each area has its own
Yes.
process in place for it to run effectively. You've got your
Yeah.
visibility, you've got your content, you've got your reach outs, your DMs, and then, setting up whatever conversion event you're going to do, which is workshops or masterclass, to promote your signature program, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you've been staying with your same signature program for 2 years?
I've changed it. In fact, and I was inspired by yours to create mine that way, because if you remember, I thought I had to do one-on-one.
Right.
And from working with you, I was like, wait, but this is great. The hybrid course, group coaching thing. So that's what I do now. So, with weight loss in particular, a group is great, right? Because you're not by yourself. There's accountability, there's support. You have, peers who are going through the same thing you're going through. And so, yeah, so my what has changed is it's more of it's now a hybrid, a group hybrid, and I do offer 2 one-on-one sessions with them. But it's really just mainly a group program. And I am super niche, like you said, with working with people who are in the thyroid space, women who have thyroid disease, because the belief is, well, if I have thyroid disease, I can't lose weight. And it's like, well, no, you can, let's just teach you how. So yeah, but I'm stuck with the program. And one of the things I tend to remember is, again, my brain, I want to do 500 things at one time. I want to have retreats, and I want to have,
Right.
masterminds, and I want to have all these things. And it's like, okay, well, do this one thing and do it well. And then you can add one more thing. And so, and which is why I say, okay, I'm going to keep on doing these challenges until they become. Now, mind you, I remember that when I first went through, I wanted to run a challenge, and you're like, well, no, can we dial it back and do the master class? Let's do, like this one thing, have a successful launch, and then we can try, do something else, add something else. Right. So that I really just approach my business that way with everything, because there's wisdom in it. And again, it's just, especially when you're first starting out, there's a lot of stress already in meeting goals and whatever. Let's just keep it as simple as possible. So I focus on having just that one product, and refining it and making it better, and launching as often as I desire. I think I lost you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was frozen. So I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So why don't you talk about your program a little bit more, of what it is, like who's the best ideal client, who do you serve, and what is your
Right.
program? So in case anyone out there from the pop-up group that watches this live, and I think Angela's on here, Helen's on here, and I think I lost Shelly, but that's okay. And she'll be back. And other people will watch the replay. So, let's let you have the floor.
All right. All right. Well, I help women in the thyroid space, women who have been diagnosed with thyroid disease, whether it's Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, Graves, whatever the issue is. I help them to get their bodies healthier. And a byproduct of that, in most cases, is that we end up losing the weight, losing the inflammation, teach you how to get fitter, stronger, without having to do planks all day long, without having to drink a million potions, just by eating real food, and moving your body the way you love, right? And so I myself have dealt with thyroid issues for a number of years, and I know how frustrating it is to not be able to do anything because you're stuck on the couch, and you're not feeling well, or whatever the issue might be, for whatever the flavor of the day is, whatever the symptom is for the day. And so one of the things that I want to empower people to do is realize that you don't have to stay where you are. So whether that's like in my case, I didn't have a business before I got sick, because, well, this was the catalyst for me. Well, now I couldn't even go back to work because my brain wasn't working and I couldn't work for anyone. But then when I realized that I could change my life by changing my food, it's like, well, why is no one telling anyone this? So now I have a business. But whether it's, losing 20 pounds, or building a business that provides you with 6 figures, or, a consistent 4-figure month, or whatever it is, the process is still the same. Like, you have to be decided that you want to do the thing, and then figure out, well, how am I going to get this thing done? And then you have to commit to doing the basics and doing it really well, right? So that's why I keep coming back to Dallas's system on how to, build a Facebook group and get clients, because it's all about doing the basics. The guy who can bench 300 pounds is no different from the guy who can only lift 10 pounds. The difference is the guy who's lifting 300 pounds has done that repetition over and over again. The person who wins the Olympics is no different from me, who wants to win the Olympics. The difference is that that person gets up and goes and does the practice and does the basics over and over and over again. And so I am really excited to help women to get healthy, just by teaching them how to do the basics, eating real food, getting the rest, drinking the water, and doing those things over and over again. And a year from now, you'd be amazed at how different your body is, just by sticking with the basics.
And then it becomes a part of your lifestyle, right?
It becomes your identity. Yeah.
You know, your lifestyle. It's not even a thing anymore. It just is.
Right.
You
It
and
just
is the one. It's like you're one, right?
Yes.
And it's the same with your business. I mean,
Yes.
you learned, you know, things that were uncomfortable for you in the beginning, things that you've never done before, but you created a pattern and a routine around it. So now it's second nature. You don't have to look at your notes anymore. What do I have to do today?
Right.
Right?
That's
It's
right.
like, you know what you have to do. You can delegate it. You can monitor. You can manage your VA. Together, your team, you're powerful. And now your business is more sustainable, more profitable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's more joyful. That's what I love, is watching the joy come from people as they see, as you're putting in these systems or these processes, all of a sudden you're getting results. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, you don't get results if you don't do anything.
Right.
Right. So that's the, it's what I want to say is, a lot of us buy, and I did this too. So this is not to pick on anyone. It's not like I'm so mature, because it's we buy programs and we buy courses and we buy coaches and we get into these relationships, and we think that the transaction is what makes the magic. So you buy,
Right.
so joining Dallas's program isn't going to work if you never show up, and I wasn't always present, right? There are times where, I let my emotions beat me up over something failing or whatever. But I was able to get back up, and and you were always so graceful, right? You're not a bully. You are always there. And I have an assurance that if I need help, and I love that, if I needed help, I could just reach out and you were willing to help. But I've got to show up first, right? I've got to show up. So there's no
tell me what's going on. You got
and there's no magic in it, right? If there's so buying the program, joining the program isn't going to change anything inside of you or even your business if you don't commit to doing the work, and following the guidance that's provided. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Great. Listen, also, I want you to drop, how do people get in contact with you or join your group? We'll put a little something in the, actually, you'll let me know and I'll put it into the Facebook group so people know how to get a hold of you or join your group, right?
Sure, yeah.
So what is the name of your group now, Heather?
It's the same, Hashimoto's and hypothyroid group for women, I think is what it's called. I don't even know. I just share the link, but I think it's the same group, Hashimoto, and it's on my Facebook page. When you go there, you'll see my profile that there's a link for you to join my challenge, because there's a challenge coming up. Well, there's one just ended. I have to put the new one coming up. But also in my profile, you see that there's a link to join my Facebook group, and that's where you can connect with me. Yeah.
Great.
Still doing that.
Hi, Shelly. I see Shelly just joined too. You guys, if you have any questions there, put them below. I'm not seeing any questions. Great. Hi, Rosa is on and Angela's on. Great. Okay, so any last words of wisdom? I mean, if somebody's on the fence, you kind of pretty much have really are an advocate for my program. It's like wonderful. Right. It's wonderful. And I'm so glad I was able to get you on here 2 years later. So that's really what it is. It's like there are going to be many wins along the way with the program.
Yes.
But then when you after working with me, what did you notice? Did you get enough in the program that you were able to keep the building your program onward and building momentum and keep going? Obviously you are, because here you are 2 years later and you're incredibly have a successful program. Right. So what was that like when the cord was cut? Did you feel like you had enough to keep going?
I definitely had enough. I had enough. And in fact, I took a break. I don't know if you remember that like I said, I took a break from from life really for a while. And I was able to get right back in and do the things because the program is so clear. The guys, it's if you're one of those people that can follow instructions, then you have no problem because the videos and the handouts, they're so clear. And if you ever need help clarifying something, Dallas is just, a DM away. You can always reach out to her and get that. So I definitely had enough. The other thing I would say is just deciding on, like, who do you really want to be, right? Like, are you because it might not be good for you. Maybe you're not the kind of person who wants to have a Facebook group and wants to have a community. But I fight with that because I'm an introvert, I say, right? So I don't always want to be around people and I don't always want to show up. But if you're in a coaching business, um, people are here to be in your space. They want to get to know you. And a Facebook group is the way people are going to get to know you. Yes, they look at your feed and all that stuff. But in a Facebook group, people are freer. People are to say all kinds of crazy stuff on their feed, but inside of a Facebook group, it's more intimate. People get to build relationships with you. People are more receptive to you when you send them a DM because they're already in your space. So if you are really serious about being a coach, and being a thought leader and making moves and changing your space, then this is definite. And you want clear instructions on how to do that, then Dallas's program is definitely the way to go. One of the things I wanted to say too is because of, again, I model a lot of my program off of yours. So because of that, I have standard operating procedures for things now. So I write out, so I use Asana to communicate with my VA, and I have a document in Google where I document, like how things are done. And then every now and then when I get ready to write a post, I say, or the calendar that tells you, how to, so I use that calendar inside of my challenge group. So I open the challenge group like a week before the challenge starts, and I start warming them up, a week before, using that calendar with the different kinds of posts, having them share about, so I use the material that I've gotten from you in a number of ways. It's
over
just
and over and over
over and
again.
over again. It's rinse and repeat. So it's, it's not like, it's not wasted. It's not, and I mean, it's an investment in my business and my future, right? So it's just a matter of who I want to be. And I know that in order for me to build the impact that I want, I need to have a community. And so this is the way I learned how to do it. And listen, y'all, I bought several Facebook, I'm not going to call anybody's names, but I've bought several groups on how to build programs on how to build Facebook groups. I never was able to talk to the leader. I've never been able to ask them questions. They have teams of people who can answer me, but never the expert. And the program never cost anywhere near as affordable as Dallas is for the result that I've gotten. So if you're serious, this is the way to go. All right. And you can always ask me questions if you want clarification on anything. I'm here.
Yeah, fantastic. Hi, Sue. Sue just jumped on as well. I don't see any questions. So I'm going to let you go on this beautiful Sunday. And I can't thank you enough for jumping on here. And I'm going to continue to watch your journey and rah you on. And yeah, you guys. So, if you have any questions, I'm sure you could hop into just, you can DM Heather and ask her a question if you want some kind of private information, if you really want to know the scoop or whatever. But she's been pretty clear about what it's like to work with me. But you've got to do the work. You got to do the work, right? Yeah. And in the beginning, it's about 90 minutes a day, every day, and then more on the weekends to get things in place until you get to see how things are running and get a routine going. That's, you want to make sure you have that kind of time commitment. Now, if you have a little less hours than that and you're committed, we can work together, definitely. But it's not like 1 hour a week. No, it'll never fly. It'll never fly. All right, so that's okay. So let's wrap this up. Hello to your family, for sharing yourself with us today.
Yes.
And, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for all you do. And
All
you have a
right,
wonderful week.
too.
Okay.
And I'll
Bye.
put your link to your group down in the comments below.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, good.
Bye.
Bye.